Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Kicker Rocks Podcast 2 Drink Minimum. This is episode number 10, and in this one, the gang got together and talked about our favorite rewatchable television shows. You know, throughout the years, there have been several shows that we have loved to watch, and we've loved the reruns just as much. So, kick back, relax, have a drink with us, and enjoy. Kick Rocks Podcast 2 Drink Minimum. Today, we have in the house Bill.
Tony.
Sergio.
Joe.
What?
Yes, that's right.
Get out of here.
I'm here.
What do you do? What? What did you do with JT and why are you here?
Listen, my contract only calls for like 4 podcasts a year.
Okay. Well, you're on point to hit that, so there you go.
Right? Hey, the last 2 I was on were recorded in 2017, so this is your first taste of me in 2018.
All right. We love it. We love it. We're missing our good buddy JT tonight. He's with us in spirit, though, of course, as Joe usually is, but he's here in person, in the flesh tonight. We're excited. So it's the 4 of us here. We're going to talk about rewatchable television shows that have gone through their entire run. So all their seasons, their final seasons are done, but we still love to rewatch them. They're some of our go-tos for streaming online or watching reruns on live television, whatever suits your fancy. So some of the best, or at least our favorite, rewatchable shows of all time. Who wants to get things rolling here? What's your favorite rewatchable? Who's starting?
I'm going to jump up first, get this out of the way.
I figured you would.
I'm not going to steal Joe's like I said I would, but real quick, I just want to say I don't do a lot of rewatching. There's so much content now on so many different platforms that it's hard to find time to watch something that you've seen already. But if I happen to fall into something or throw something on for a second while I'm getting ready or watch clips of something, I'm going to go with The Office, the American version. It's very rewatchable. It doesn't matter what season you fall into or what scene you're watching. It's entertaining. It's funny. So I'm going to go with The Office.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that as an option for sure. I think I told you guys before we started that I've been watching it at night lately, like on Netflix. And you're right, you could drop in anywhere. You just pick a random episode from a random season and just go, and it's outstanding. Like, I haven't found a bad one yet since I've been rewatching it recently.
I'll say I'll avoid the first season a little bit because it's a little off, but they kind of found where they were going from then on. But at any given point, just like, oh, all right, this is on, and that's why I like the show. It's funny most of the time. It's rewatchable.
The characters are all fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. The entire cast of characters is very good. But Tony, since you started off with it, who is your favorite character from The Office?
Creed, without a doubt.
Creed?
Holy shit,
that
Creed.
Makes so much. Knowing you, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So much sense.
Dude, he's not appreciated that much, but he's got the absolute best one-liners and bits. The randomness of Creed.
He's just clueless and oblivious to things going on.
Is he though?
But
I don't think he is. I think he knows what's going on the whole time.
The dude's like a serial killer.
He just chooses to ignore it.
Yeah. I'll never forget. There's I don't watch the show religiously, but there's those little scenes where he'll just do something clever, where it's he knows all these young people are coming in with interns, and then he shows up with his hair dyed dark black, pitch black, and it's just this guy's hilarious because he would come in the office with his hair dyed pitch black.
Well, there's
awesome.
There's theories too about that character, where there's a theory going around online that he's not the real Creed, that he actually killed
the real
character with that name.
Are you making this up
and
right now?
No, and assumed his identity. I swear to God, there's a lot of for that show. There's a lot of Office theories that take place.
Awesome.
There's one that Michael Scott's actually a genius and he plays dumb on purpose.
I could see that.
Who knows?
I feel like
but there's one where Creed's
validity.
not actually Creed, and he assumed that person's identity. It's pretty fun. Look it up. It's fun
one. I don't know if it necessarily shoots a hole in that per se, but there's times, and I caught one recently. He's got to be the longest tenured employee of Dunbar, Mifflin, Scranton, or one of them anyway, because
they make a reference.
Michael goes to Creed at one point in an episode to talk about Ed Truck, who was the general manager before Michael that they both worked for, and they were the only two people that worked for him. So that's why Michael could talk to Creed about it.
Yeah.
So does it blow a hole in your theory? Not necessarily, but that means this murder took place a long time ago.
Yeah, and it very well could have. It very well.
Yeah.
Well, like, and the fact that he sort of plays himself as well,
Yeah.
because like there's certain facts about his past, like he played with Grassroots, he was this like rock star for a while, and that's all part of his character as well. Like, it makes him that much more.
Wait, are you implying like that the original actor, or are you?
Yeah, he really is, but like he plays like a version of himself on the show.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea about all of that.
Yeah, they dip into it a couple times here and there throughout the show, but yeah, he's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to say Dwight Schrute is one of the funniest characters on television ever. He's up there. He's just so absurd, and the way he's played by Rainn Wilson is he plays him so he just believes in himself so much that nothing he does is absurd, even though the audience looking at it goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he plays him so perfectly. Like that character is so confident in himself.
Yeah.
It's
And the
perfect.
best stuff, I think, and what helped to build that character is just the way the Dwight and Jim characters play off each other.
Yes.
Like Jim just
Yes.
messing with Dwight was like the best bit on the show for
pranks.
the first for so long.
the pranks that Jim does to
before they
Dwight.
developed the characters even further
Yeah.
than they like in the early stages. It was the Jim pranks on Dwight were like one of the best comedy moments
Yes.
of every episode.
Agreed.
When he put all his stuff in Jello, like,
That's one of the first bits. That's one of their first things.
that and put everything in the vending machine and then gave him a sack of nickels so he could buy all his supplies back.
The when all of the stuff looked like it was wrapped as presents was great.
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
all hollowed out.
When he
The Asian
forwarded-
actor.
Oh,
They-
that's one of the best ones.
Their,
Yeah, the
their
Asian
friend,
actor.
yeah, Jim and Pam's friend, who's an Asian actor.
Asian
he
Jim.
comes in as Jim, and he goes, "Hey, Dwight," and he knows Jim's password, and then like Dwight's like, "No," and then he grabs like a picture, and it's like that guy and Pam and like their
And the
kids.
guy.
And he's like, "What's going on?"
Jim's not Asian. Oh, you never noticed?
He's like,
No,
oh.
kudos to you.
Yeah, kudos to you for not seeing color. Yeah, oh, it's so good.
when
That-
Dwight
that-
like
that-
gets
that's-
aggravated and yells for Michael, Jim's
When Jim's
stealing my
impersonating
identity.
him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he forwards his cell phone to his desk phone. He's like, he forwarded his office phone, and then Dwight's like, then I'll use my cell phone, and then his cell phone rings to Jim's
This is when he
phone
goes,
too.
question, which bear is best? Well, that's debatable. False. Black bear. Whatever. Something
no,
like
wait,
that.
there are two schools
Something
of
like
thought.
that. There are two schools of yeah. Michael? Oh, it's
Michael,
great.
Dwight Schrute, assistant to the general manager.
Great show.
That's a fantastic show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't pick a favorite character though necessarily because they all have their moments.
Yeah.
And there's not any one particular that I hate. I think my least favorite is Ryan.
Okay.
Really?
Just especially like as this show goes on. Like I think he was better early, and then when they give him that whole like where he's the boss,
becomes the
and,
manager.
like just his
Right.
attitude. Like
Yeah.
you were supposed to not like him though.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, that was his role. Where it
right.
was,
You were, but I mean,
he still has likable moments.
Ryan Howard himself was a writer and producer on the show too. He
Yeah.
wrote a lot of episodes actually.
I think ultimately what that show did the best was it's an absurd show. It's all absurdist comedy, no doubt. But it also, in its moments, it has a lot of heart. Like there's a lot of like the Jim and Pam stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Adorable.
That's adorable.
That's adorable.
It's a great word for
and
it.
it was-
That's probably one of the top TV couples of all
No,
time.
and it
Right,
started
and it,
in
like-
season 1, and
Right.
they rode that all the way through
Right.
because that's what America wanted to see was Jim and Pam.
Yeah.
Like,
And it had that, like, at its core, it's an absurd comedy, but it also had that element to it, which I think makes it more lovable.
or even
Where it
like-
actually did have a lot of heart at its core.
or like even like humanizing Dwight with
Yes.
the whole Angela breakup, and then her, being with Andy, and the Nard dog.
Were you actually that you rooted for Dwight?
Yeah.
She like
You would
wanted
never- you
Dwight
would-
to be with her, even though like she was
Horrible, awful.
she's a horrible human being.
Right.
She's playing both these guys, but you still were rooting for Dwight. Like, oh, Dwight's gotta win, right? I don't know, in a weird way.
You just made me, when you said Nard Dog, I thought about Andy
Nard Dog.
when he's like, I went to Cornell, Creed. So, It's pronounced Colonel. It's the highest. It's the highest rank in the military.
was-
It's just
that
like,
was-
oh my god, he
And
gets
that was
the
the
best
episode.
one-liners,
That was
man.
the episode where Dwight wore the Cornell
best
sweatshirt
one-liners.
Oh, yeah.
just to get under Andy's skin.
Yeah.
He like was trying to get at Andy for it.
And then and the side characters. I mean, like you said, like how
Daryl.
can you pick a favorite one? The the supporting cast alone is just. They all have one-liners in almost every episode.
Stanley.
They're just great.
Stanley, as
All of
Michael
them.
would describe him, the big sassy black man with the heart of gold.
Yeah, they're all great. Good show. Yeah, highly rewatchable, and you can pick it up on any episode. Like we said, each season has its overall arc, but really you could tune in on every episode with that show, and you don't need to know what's going on. You can just enjoy it as a standalone episode. So it's a great call. It's a great show.
Yeah.
I was hoping something you said there would set up for the line that The Office gave pop culture and society.
Oh, go ahead.
That's what she said.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
Fuck,
Wait, did they-
I was literally gonna
Wait,
set
was
you
that?
up.
Wait, hold
right when
on
you
though.
said
Yeah, good call. Was that line before that show, or did they?
I
don't feel
want to
like-
say it was before the show, but they overdid it so well.
Right.
That's
There's
what everybody-
honest to
yeah.
God, I
They
recently
took something that was annoying to begin with and like just hit it home because I felt like that's really what they wanted that manager to,
they wanted Michael to be
Michael Scott to be that annoying person who would always say that.
It became like a pop culture thing because of The Office, I feel like. And
Okay.
It brought it back.
Sure,
it
yeah.
was a thing. It was annoying. It was stupid.
Because everyone knew. it
But
was
they
stupid to
wrote
say.
it so long. It's
There
like
is-
that. Let's keep this annoying until
Yeah.
it's funny again.
there's a YouTube
And
montage
it works.
of just
of every That's What She Said.
that's awesome.
What is it, like an hour long? It's a
like,
lot.
It's only 6.5 minutes, so I don't know if it's everyone, but it's like a best of even, and it's just it's hysterical.
Well, and
Like even when when Michael's trying to reprimand himself, like to not say it, like
I can't see that lasting 6.5 minutes.
That's what she said.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay, then The Office,
And on
folks.
that note-
And on that note,
Perfect segue. All right, I will go, and I'm going to talk about one that when we decided this category about 30 minutes ago, I was thinking, what shows did that have ended that are rewatchable that I wanted to see more of, and one show in particular just jumped into mind. There's a lot of shows that I could say best of all time, definitely rewatchable, love them to death. But this one, I think, ended prematurely, and that's Deadwood.
Oh,
Yeah, and
good one.
so if you've ever seen that, I think its run was 04 to 06, something like
Yeah.
that. Maybe 05 to 07. It was a 3-year run. It only had 3 seasons.
Short-lived.
Short-lived, unceremoniously ended, and it was an awesome, critically acclaimed show that, for whatever reason, they kind of wrapped things up after season 3, but not really. Season 3 was not, at the time, pitched as the final season of Deadwood. They got canceled, or they decided not to do it after that, whatever happened. And for whatever reason, it never, finished out its complete run, I feel. So only 3 seasons of it. So it's a short run. It's about 10 episodes or so, maybe 12 per season, all about an hour long. So it's a lot of content, even in just 3 seasons. But it's great. I love that show. I can rewatch it. It's a period piece. It takes place, obviously, Old West, during like the gold rush, things like that. And the cast of characters in that show and the performances and the writing is, by and large, I feel one of the best that's ever been done on television. It is so good, to the point where there's just the dialogue itself you could just listen to over and over again. It's so well crafted. Even though there's a lot of, every other word is cocksucker. But aside from that, the writing's brilliant.
It gives a whole
lowbrow
new
at first.
meaning to the term cocksucker.
It does. But if you've ever seen it, you can still stream it on HBO if you have that, or other sources illegally, perhaps we won't talk about, but whatever. Jailbreaker shit, people, get with the times. It's 2018. But one of the best characters, I think, in television of all time is Al Swearingen.
played by the very talented
Go for it.
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane,
Holy
who
hell.
is awesome in everything he does.
Everything.
But that role, he owned it. He just owns it so well. He's not even, he's the hero, but he's not.
He's the bad guy, but he's not.
The bad guy.
He's the
when the show starts, he's the villain. But God damn it, he's the best person in that show. You love him.
Yeah.
You're rooting for him, even though you know
he's done some
bad.
really horrible things, but like when push comes to shove, his character usually makes the right decision.
Right.
Like he's a horrible person. He's killed people. He's had people killed.
Yep.
He's done this, but then he, sees a little girl whose family was abandoned, and it's like, well, she saw so-and-so get murdered by this guy. We need to kill her and her brother. And it's like, well, no, it's the little girl. We're going to let her survive now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He's very human for that time.
And he takes care of his own.
Absolutely.
He runs a bar / brothel.
Sure.
Essentially. And, you might view him as a bad guy, but he's like the quintessential anti-hero, I think. And then we hadn't seen one. And then honorable mention. I won't do an honorable mention yet. We'll wait till everybody goes because I don't want to spoil their show. But for a long time, I think on television there hasn't been an anti-hero that we're rooted for like him. I think he started it, and there were a couple after him that are hailed as great anti-heroes who aren't necessarily good guys, but they're the main protagonists of that show, and we root for them.
So you root for them.
Right? So there's a couple we could think of since then, but I think that show might have started that with his performance of Al Swearingen. Ian McShane just killed it. And every actor in that show, it's a huge ensemble cast throughout the three seasons, and they all kill it.
Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, him and Swearingen
Night
and
and
Bullock.
day, just holy God.
Yeah,
It's
that dynamic
unbelievable.
is awesome.
It's
because they're against each other, but they also have a mutual respect.
They have mutual respect, but then there's like the common goal that they're going for because they want to get this town going and they want to get it up off the ground.
They want Deadwood to be an actual prosperous town. Right.
But you've got like the light side of that and the dark side of that.
Yep.
Bullock wants to be the white knight and do things the right way, and Swearingen's kind of like the back alley. I'm going to do it how I have to do it.
And some might argue a little more realistic.
Oh, absolutely.
Some would argue. I would think if I was back in that time, I'd be in Swearingen's crew. I'd be on his side. I would think. But yeah, I don't know. I absolutely love that show. Obviously, it's a quick binge too. If you have the chance, you can get through 3 seasons of it pretty quick. And although it kind of wraps up, I feel like it still had more to say. And that's why I think, it's rewatchable, but I wish, 1 or 2 more seasons, I think was all it might have needed to really wrap the whole plot up. But, what can you do?
There's
you
always talk of they're going to have a Deadwood movie, they're going to have this, and they've been talking about it for years. And then last year there was big talk about it, and it was just them getting everybody's schedule together, and then this, and then the money wasn't there, and it wasn't right. But dude, that could have went for at least 2 more, if not 4 more seasons.
Oh, easily.
Unfazed.
So I have questions because
have you ever seen the show?
I've never seen the show.
Dude, you should just
I was wondering, you two are very quiet.
Here's the thing that sucks.
It's like me and Tony are like, oh, Deadwood. So you guys are like, what?
So I know you guys know this, but the audience doesn't know this. Like, I've never had cable.
Okay.
I've had cable twice when I've had roommates, and after the roommate left, I just canceled, cable. So I've never had the luxury of watching anything on HBO. I think the only show that I've seen is Silicon Valley, but nonetheless, so this show is only 3 seasons, and how long are each episode? Because I do want to binge it, like you said.
About an hour long, and I want to say it's 10 episodes a season around there, maybe 10 to 12.
I've got all of them on DVD if you just want to have them.
Lend them to me so I can watch them because I can't get it. I don't think it's on
We've
Hulu
talked
or
about
any of
this
the
for
streaming.
months. We'll set you up.
Okay, because I've heard there's so many HBO shows that I hear are so good. You guys will probably laugh. I've never even seen The Sopranos.
Oh my goodness.
As far as I'm concerned, that show's overrated.
Okay. Overrated, yes, but okay. There's my point then, because Sopranos came after Swearingen, right? Or was it before?
Before.
I think it was before.
It was before.
I didn't watch Sopranos during its run. I binged it all years later.
Then I stand corrected because technically Tony Soprano would have been the first anti-hero that you root for then.
I feel like Sopranos
But I
got
would
too
argue
hyped
Al
up.
Swearingen is a
me.
better character. I love Al Swearingen.
So
Hands down, one of the best
I need
performances
to
on
real
television
quick
ever.
before I get because we've mentioned Timothy the Elephant, we've mentioned Ian McShane. The cast is unbelievable, but I really want to mention Garrett Dillahunt, who plays two characters,
Yes.
Francis Walcott and Jack McCall. He plays two characters throughout the series.
I think it's like in season 1, and then he comes back in 3, right? It's a different character.
He's so good.
It's very good.
He does something catastrophic as both characters, but you're just like, you don't realize it till later. Like, oh my god, that's the same actor.
So wait, he
They
actually
use the same
performs
actors.
well enough where you don't realize.
You don't realize
They use him as
that.
two different characters.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You don't realize
Yeah.
it, and you're
I mean,
like,
you've also-
oh my god, he's
You've got
so good.
Molly Parker, Brad Dourif as the doctor, W. Earl Brown, John Hawkes, okay, Paula Malcolmson. It's chock full of people. Anna Gunn, who later got famous for Breaking Bad.
You got Leon Rippey, Dayton Kelly, William Sanderson.
Yeah.
Dude, Jim Beaver's in it. Jeffrey Jones is in it. Kim
Powers
Dickens is
Booth,
in Powers
Powers
Booth.
Booth.
He comes in. That's basically when Swearingen becomes more of
a
a
good guy.
hero because Powers Booth is like the ultra villain when he comes into town.
Like, can we talk about Keon Young?
Oh, dude.
I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but Wu.
Wu.
Mr. Wu.
Whoa. Are you telling me these San Francisco cocksuckers came and stole my
Oh,
dude?
my dope.
You guys gotta watch
Yeah,
this
Alright, you
show.
guys have to watch
Sergio,
it.
do you want to just binge this together?
You guys
Like one
have to.
weekend, we'll just
I think
settle
we do.
in and watch this.
Buy a
Because
bunch
for
of
years,
snacks and just
Clearly, me and
water.
Tony will do a Deadwood podcast on our own. But we don't
years.
have to if you guys binge watch it.
Yeah, you guys
for
should
years,
just
Tony,
watch
you've
this.
been telling me.
I've been telling
you
you.
and Igor have been
Oh
telling
yeah,
me.
because Maddie used to watch that too.
You guys
man.
have told me for years and years to watch this, and I've never have. And part of it is maybe because of, like you said earlier, Tony, about rewatching things.
Yeah.
Or like there's shows I've missed, but like Deadwood. That
Oh, shit,
I've
Sarah
never
Paulson.
never gone back to watch
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sarah Paulson,
because
that's right.
I might have missed them, but then I don't go back because there's so much new content out. Like
Yeah.
I could have been watching Deadwood this past weekend, and instead I binged Altered Carbon.
I've been curious about that show. Did you like?
I enjoyed.
All right, I'll have to watch that. But yeah, if you have a chance, if you haven't seen it, Deadwood 3 seasons, easy binge, great drama, great
Because
comedy.
3 HBO seasons, that's
shit.
only 36 episodes.
30 or 36. I'm
Right?
not sure how
It's
many
10 or
it was.
12 episode
It's
seasons
10 or
usually
12.
on
It's,
episode on
it's
HBO.
one of those two. I forget which, but it's very good.
Well, you guys have it at your fingertips on IMDb. You could probably look that up. Right
36.
now. 36. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean that's all I got to say about Deadwood. If nobody else has anything to add, who's up next?
Woo! All right, heads or tails, Joe? Joe, you got it.
Joe,
Heads or
you're
tails?
going. I'll go.
All right. So yeah, as Tony said earlier, like not rewatching too many things. Like I've thought about it when we decided to do this. I've never gone and rewatched any drama. Like maybe an episode here or there, but not where I've sat down and like watched the show all the way through, or even watched a season again or anything. The closest I came was trying to get Amanda into True Blood because she'd never seen it. So, yeah, I've never done that with any drama series. I definitely agree with Tony's pick on The Office. Like I mentioned, that's my recent rewatchable. But you all know where I'm going. You all know what I'm picking. Well, that was a terrible version of that.
Sorry.
But
Go again, Joe. Sorry about that.
Where are you going, Joe? What are you gonna say? What show? What show, Joe? Go ahead. Sorry.
of course, Seinfeld.
What do you mean you're a big Seinfeld?
Joe, why Seinfeld, Joe? What? I'm sorry. That's it. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, well, you ruined it. Now I'm going to pick something else. No,
Please don't. You're the resident expert on Seinfeld. You have to say that show.
Yeah, no, of course, definitely Seinfeld. Although, when I was a kid, a show that I watched and got into and enjoyed and like watched it every night in syndication was All in the Family.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not going with that. We're
No,
going with
okay.
Seinfeld because it's pretty much the greatest sitcom of all time.
Oh.
Yeah. Challenge me.
No, I mean that's you have a great argument there, but keep
The
going.
numbers speak for that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is. That's absolutely true. Actually, I'm such a fan that for Christmas this past year, Amanda's parents got me a Seinfeld desk calendar for my office, where every day there's some fact, and that show allowed NBC to prepare for life without the show because of the amount of revenue that it brought in, to the point where they could outbid everyone else for Olympic broadcasts and sports rights,
which they have.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah,
Since then,
forever. It made them that much money, and it was referred to in some Time magazine article or something to that effect.
What
as
channel
the most important.
What channel are the Olympics on?
NBC.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But it was named the most important TV show of all time for that reason, because of what it allowed the network to do. In addition to the fact that it's just hilarious, and it's about nothing. It
really is.
It's really about nothing. It's four friends that get into the most ridiculous, stupid scenarios, and they are very stupid, very stupid. And the best part is where some of the character inspiration came from. George Costanza is based on Larry David.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything that you've seen Costanza get himself into, Larry David actually did that stuff.
And I talked about Dwight Schrute earlier. One of my favorite characters of all time, though, is George
Costanza. Yeah.
Bar none, one of the most hilarious characters ever on television.
Right. And even, again, we mentioned, that's what she said, pop culture stuff that The Office brought to the table. But what about what Seinfeld brought?
Yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada. The soup Nazi, everybody knows the soup Nazi. The
Man hands.
Yeah, man
My
hands.
father's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with
Not that
that.
there's anything wrong with that.
Puffy shirt.
Yeah, the puffy
Close talker. Yeah.
long
God.
talker. Just so many.
As much as I just thought about this when you said, as much as they say that it's a show about nothing, it's also a show about everything, because
It's
everything in
reality.
it we could all relate to.
Yeah.
Where it's you might not think it would be entertaining to have a camera crew follow you around for your day, but if you think about your day and break it down and be like, well, what was funny about this, or what can people relate to, or what might other people find funny about a normal day, and that's exactly what they did.
Right. And you could, and again, the impact it had, you could mention just an episode by name, The Contest.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what The Contest is,
I'm out.
Well,
I wasn't quoting.
Yeah.
I'm actually out.
Already? That quick, huh?
Yeah.
All right. That's what she said. So, Sergio, you had something.
oh, well, I was going to say, that, that show was groundbreaking on all the rules that they broke.
Right.
To, get past, censors, just talking about masturbation by calling it a contest. To, first, one of the early shows to talk about homosexuality in a comedic way.
Race. They talked about race when
Yeah.
Elaine was dating the guy that they thought was black, and he thought she was Mexican. But throughout the episode, they kept saying, "Should we be talking about this?"
Yeah.
It's like their formula was to talk about everything that's wrong, but in a comedic way to make it comfortable to talk about. Which
Right.
is
What's
kind of
taboo?
a cool, yeah. And how do we get
how do we
it on
relate to
television?
everybody and make
Which
it
is a
fun?
great
And in
formula
addition
to
to
follow.
to reference the conversation earlier about The Office, the characters too. So you've got your main four: Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer. Everybody loved Kramer until Michael Richards kind of ruined that for himself. But then you have all your random side characters.
Yeah.
Newman.
Yeah.
Newman's a huge one. Everybody knows Newman.
The
Peterman.
the Seinfelds, the Costanzas.
Yeah. Oh, Frank and Estelle Costanza are outstanding. They're hilarious.
Cousin Leo.
You saying
Uncle Leo.
You want a
Uncle
piece
Leo.
of me?
Uncle Leo, sorry.
You got it.
I'll drop you like a bag of dirt.
That's one of the
best
endings ever.
Yeah. Well, anytime Frank got
you
worked up,
saying you want a piece
Frank
of
getting
me?
worked up was just always great.
Yeah.
Crazy Joe DeVola.
Crazy Joe Lavola, Peterman or Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
Larry David doing
David's
George
voice.
Steinbrenner was hysterical. There's just a countless and the thing is the final episode, they kind of wrap it all up. It wasn't the greatest final episode in the history of television, that's for sure. But they talk about how these are just horrible people.
Yeah.
They're just bad. They're just wrong. They're just bad people that don't give a shit about anything. They live in their own bubble, their own world, and they don't care less about anybody else.
That last season. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you started bringing up the last episode, I was really hoping you would bring up the point that I love about the last episode and the first episode is
It ends the same way.
It ends with the exact same dialogue as season 1.
It's the
episode
button
1.
placement.
It's the button placement.
The button placement
it's too high.
It's the buttons too high for the sweater that he was wearing.
And I'm like, that couldn't have been a more genius way to end a series.
And George says, I feel like we've had this conversation before.
And I have something to say about that. Yeah. The show itself, and that's brilliant. You guys brought that up because that's the whole run of the show. It is, in my opinion, the quintessential comedy show in that it follows the rules not just of comedy, but it follows. There's a saying in improv that Del Close, famous for Second City in Chicago. If you're an improv person, you know him. He came up with this saying, I believe it was him, said, the end is the beginning. Or the beginning is the end. Take your pick, either way. But that spawned the idea of what's known as the herald, which in improvisation is you start at point A, right? And by the time you wrap around your story, different things can happen. You can branch off in different directions, but you come back to that point at the end of the show. And Seinfeld, nearly every single episode, if not every episode, has that formula where they start somewhere, they branch out, and it always comes back to that joke in the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They do that with the individual episodes.
Right.
They did that geniusly with the series as a whole.
Yep.
That's why they did that, where they wanted... It's almost like they planned it from the beginning with that first episode. The last episode was going to end where the first episode began. The end is the beginning. And they wrap the whole thing around. Even though each episode is its own individual arc, they wrap the whole thing around where they brought it around again. And that is not only hard to do, but in comedy is like, that's the perfect ending. So, was it the best finale ever? No. But the fact that they brought that whole thing around into the same dialogue is, in my opinion, comedic genius there. That's how you wrap up a show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say about that.
Right.
That's comedy writing. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you put it that way, and then we talk about it, like they finally identified in that episode like how horrible they are, and you also got a taste of all of these other characters, you know, and the names, and you know, the low talker and the close talker and the soup Nazi and the virgin, and
they all got their identities,
right. And those people all came through the final episode. They were all character witnesses in the trial, and you know. So yeah, I guess but maybe it was a better finale than people give it credit for.
I think it was because of the reasons you guys brought up. I was about to bring it up before you said it, and I think it does get panned a lot. But you know, maybe as a whole, what was it the best episode of the series? Maybe not. But if you think of it in terms of what they actually did with it, that's what they did for every episode, and then they did it with the series as a whole. I think that's genius.
I think there's a lot of people that grew to love these characters and relate to them and going, oh, I could be them, I could see that, I could see that. And then I feel like the last season, specifically the last episode, it showed how shallow and horrible these people were.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I think that's when the viewers sort of turned on it, whether it's the whole season, the whole last season, or the last episode was... They didn't want to admit to themselves, well, I'm not that. I'm not like that. It's like...
Well, and to be honest...
Wait,
it's brilliant, though.
They're
It's like
horrible.
they are, though.
I think they wanted it that way, too. Like, they were walking away. They had another season on the table.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry just said...
Oh, I never knew that, did they really?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Okay,
NBC... If NBC had their way, that show would still be on the air.
Yeah.
But Jerry
Jerry
said no. He was ready to walk away, you know. And that was it. And it was... Yeah, it was just an outstanding show, period. Like, and it's another one where you could drop in anywhere. You don't have to. You could watch any episode anytime, like completely
No
randomly.
more seasons. We're not doing any more seasons.
The only reason I didn't pick this one is because I knew you were picking this
Right,
one.
I know.
So,
You had said that earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's something I can just watch for hours. And even if I've seen every episode 10 times, it doesn't matter. Like,
Side note to those listening, if you're ever involved in a Seinfeld trivia contest, you call Joe. You will win.
most likely.
That's all I got to say.
You don't know everything. My team didn't win when we did Seinfeld trivia at Bourbon.
I'm shocked at that.
We
but-
were in the
What
top
do you
10.
mean you didn't win?
What do you mean you won?
Connor was
They didn't win, Jerry. They didn't win. There was no winning. No winning.
Nice one. Seinfeld's a definite, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, before we, I guess, wrap up Seinfeld, do you all, I know you all are fans, do we
Yeah.
all have favorite episodes
Yeah.
in particular that stand out?
Okay, on top of my head, my favorite, and I talked about the Herald where the beginning is the end. My favorite wraparound of all time is the marine biologist.
The sea was angry that day. Like,
that's a great
One
one.
of the
Kinda
best
returns
comedic
soup in
endings
his-
of all time.
Is that a tie?
With George's, yeah.
I
See, it was angry
recently-
that day, my friends, when he does his whole monologue.
like an old man trying to return soup
Whoa,
and
big fella!
telly.
And I pulled out the obstruction.
And it's
Is that a
Kramer's-
Titleist? Oh, hole in one. It's, to me, one of the most perfect endings ever. So yeah, the marine biologist
man.
episode, my favorite.
Yeah.
I'll say that's a great episode. I can't say that I have a favorite because
There's so many to choose from.
there's I think I just appreciate the bits throughout all of them. Like I couldn't pick one.
Right.
So.
No, and I agree with that. I mean, people are quick to say the contest or soup Nazi or whatever, but I'm not necessarily like those. Aren't necessarily my favorites per se. I mean, I love them, but there's so many,
Yeah.
and it's more to me. It's more of a show of moments,
Yeah.
than it is of episodes.
So you just made me think of something. Saying that, I will say that my favorite moment is. Do you remember when Jerry was going to get illegal cable through?
Yeah.
Jerry's gonna be a
Cable boy. So Jerry gets the cable, and then all of a sudden the cable police or the police
The
show up at his
montage
house.
of him getting-
It's the montage and it's him
like the
going.
dream sequence.
It's the dream sequence of him trying to run across the room away from the cops,
And
and
they
they
shoot
all
him.
start shooting him, and it's Seinfeld like. Going across the room, just getting lit up, and his
And then
whole
Kramer
chest, there's
holding him.
squibs going just going nuts. He gets riddled with bullets, and then Kramer's holding him. Cable boy. That's probably seeing Jerry Seinfeld get riddled with bullets is probably my favorite moment. Cable boy. That's my favorite moment. I couldn't give you an episode, but that every time I think back, like, what's the funniest? Like, I lose my shit when I see
Right.
Jerry because like. I don't know if he's just being coasted across. I'm like, in my mind, he's just like floating across the room getting shot, but he might be running. But it's hysterical, man. We're Googling that after this podcast.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's my favorite moment.
That's
Sergio, you got a favorite episode?
Or moment.
Oh man, so that's hard. So, well, season 4. That's the one they won the Golden Globe for, right? That was the first time they won.
I'm not sure.
I
want
to say they're like best
Season
sitcom.
4 was, I believe, probably the best season.
Yeah, so that whole season's phenomenal. But like, if I'm gonna say like, I know we started to talk about how the finale was kind of dissed, but I remember watching an interview where Seinfeld talked about why they did it the way they did it, and it makes me respect and appreciate the writing that went into it. Is they going into their finale, they said to themselves that they wanted to come up with a finale that involved every single character.
Right.
And that's the reason why it ended up being a courtroom, that they needed witnesses, and all these people throughout every season came in and complained about
season
it.
4.
So it's just
Smart.
like, so for them to sit down and say our goal is to incorporate every single character, how do we
gonna
do
that?
this?
That's
Like, to me,
yeah.
from a writing challenge, I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
What would
So I
all 4 of
respect
these
that.
people get arrested for?
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I
Season
mean?
4,
So,
Exactly.
all right.
So,
Season 4's got a ton of classic episodes.
oh yeah, it's got a ton of them. Then
The
they have,
Bubble
like,
Boy,
Bubble Boy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The Pitch,
When was Kenny Rogers?
Kenny Rogers Roasters.
When was that? That was a good
God.
one.
I'll have to look.
The contest is in season 4, and that's the whole like.
Yeah, the contest,
And
the
it's the
Virgin, the
whole-
Junior Mint.
And it's the whole and I want to say like majority of the season is the show within a show, because
They're
that's the
doing- they're
season
working on
where
the pilot.
where they're working on the
They're
pilot.
working on the pilot.
So
All right. Well, I mean, honestly, like I can't give you guys I can't even answer my own question. I don't have a favorite episode. There's moments that stand out.
You love them all.
I
Just
do.
be honest.
I do.
Good show, though.
It's okay.
Good call.
We could have done a whole podcast on Seinfeld, apparently.
Absolutely.
But it's
Let's do that.
one of the best shows of all time, no doubt, comedically especially. But let's move on here, Sergio. Finish us off here. What's your most rewatchable show?
I have to say it's probably going to be 30 Rock. I love Seinfeld. That has been a long-time favorite of mine.
It's a good one.
But as of late,
I went to Nero there. That's good. It's a good call, Serge. That's a good.
what happened?
Werewolf Bummetspa. Super scary.
Boys becoming men.
Men becoming wolves.
Oh, yeah.
That's
30 Rock.
That's a great segue into like why I feel that show is so phenomenal. Like it's like everything. Okay, so first of all, I think Tina Fey
So smart.
is a comedic genius. She's a great
Brilliant.
writer,
Absolutely
great
love her.
actress. Just everything about her is
It's
awesome. And
multi-talented
yeah.
for sure, and the fact that she wrote and produced that show, I mean,
Yeah.
and acted in that show.
Exactly.
She's awesome.
So that's one of those shows where every time I throw an episode on, no matter which episode it is, I'm laughing. It's the thing I put on when I'm going to go to sleep. If I need to kill time. It was on Netflix for the longest time, and then I want to say about a year ago, Netflix lost it, and it's been on Hulu. And I
Those
went.
bastards.
I know. I went like a good year without
Saying that
watching
because I
30 Rock.
have Netflix.
Yeah, because like now I subscribe to Hulu just so I can start watching that again. And, like,
Wow.
'cause it's just a show that no matter what, the characters are all well written.
Yeah.
I feel like Alec Baldwin was he peaked comedically in this show. I don't think he's been funnier in anything else.
Alec Baldwin, as you say.
What did I say?
I had to go. Alec Baldwin. I was kidding. Go ahead.
So I feel like since that show, like characters he's played since then have all had like a bit of Jack to those characters.
Possibly.
Calm down.
You calm down.
Calm down. Oh, yeah.
Lemon,
That's
calm down.
That's another greatest of all time characters.
He's fantastic.
The way he's played and the way he's written is phenomenal. Very, very funny.
And their relationship is great.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Every time he says lemon, I want to laugh.
No, lemon.
Even though it's not a joke. Yeah, lemon. It's gonna be funny. You know it's gonna be funny.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't. I never got into that show until you kept referencing it, and I'm like, what? What? I don't know what you're talking about. So I went home. This is when it was still on Netflix. Started it. Went through. How many seasons was that?
7.
Went through probably 2 seasons within a couple days, and those are long seasons. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're not
Right.
Yeah.
6
They're
episodes or
30
12
episode
episodes. Right.
seasons.
Yeah.
So went through those, and then I think within like a month or whatever, I ran through everything. It was like free time, cool, weekends or whatever, just to sleep it. I'm just going to watch a few episodes. And I was so mad that I went through it all because I was like, oh, this is over. There's nothing else. Like, it's a really good show. And I can't remember the guy who plays the page.
Kenneth?
Kenneth
I don't
Marcel.
What's the actor's name?
Oh God.
He's so good. He's really good. And he was really funny on Eric
Jack
Andre.
McBrayer?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's him.
And Eric Andre show, he looked lost in that. We watched that episode a couple weeks ago. But he's great. Tracy Morgan's absolutely
Oh my God,
hysterical
he's so
in it.
funny.
Oh man.
And even the sub characters like
Jenna.
Jenna and the writers Frank and Toofer and
Yeah, Frank.
and all of them. And even it's depressing. I don't remember all the characters' names right now, but why am I forgetting the one girl's name who's German, plays some German writer? Because every time they reference her, she's got that accent. No, you guys don't know what I'm talking about?
No, you might have to look this one up.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
even
blonde
some
girl.
of
Who's,
Liz's,
in all of the
some of
episodes.
Liz's boyfriends over the years,
Yeah.
The blonde girl who's
played
in all
by
the episodes?
Matt Damon and
Not John.
John Hamm.
like-
Yeah.
Sue. Her real name is Sue.
All
Sue
right.
Galloway. She plays Sue, who's one of the writers.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
it's
she's really good. Can we see this picture?
He always has like the German accent.
German?
Yeah.
But I want to say, like, one of the most brilliant ideas and performances is Tracy Morgan playing Tracy Jordan
Tracy Jordan.
in the show, where he's playing a parody of himself.
Oh, Grizzin.com.
It's so good. It's so brilliant. It's so absurd. It's both like it's one of those things where it's a really clever writing choice for the show, but it's also a great performance by Tracy Morgan to play that parody of himself. Yeah. It's so funny. Every scene he's in is so damn. Everything he says is funny in that show.
Yeah,
right.
So he doesn't have.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's so
It's to the point where it's like,
and
he doesn't have a not funny line ever.
Yeah,
right.
It's crazy.
so over the top and
It is.
It's insane. It's ridiculously over the top. Like exactly.
And the fact that you brought up that he plays a character, he basically plays himself.
Yeah.
I'll have to look up what season and episode it is, but he's having one of his tangents where he runs into his room, slams the door, and you just hear his voiceover, and he starts screaming about how he thinks that he's playing a character who's known as Tracy Morgan, but who's really Tracy Jordan. And it's like, it's like he just goes in a rant. I'm like, oh my god, he's literally like screaming out what's happening in this show. I'm like, that's a great reference.
So great. I don't
Okay,
think I've ever seen that.
I haven't seen every episode of that show. I've watched enough, but like I've never seen that moment. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like I want to say it's the one where he's like needs like he's supposed to be taking medicine, and then Dr. Spaceman ends up giving him
Dr. Spaceman
gives him like this prescription that causes him to have hallucinations, and he runs into his like.
And he's like, I feel like I'm playing Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, who's playing a character playing Tracy Jordan? And it's just like, what? He's pretty much saying exactly what's happening.
Exactly what's happening.
Liz Lemons. Oh god. He's so good.
And with all the insanity that goes on around there, and Liz is like the only one that's remotely sane to try and keep it all together. But she's not. She's not.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's the closest thing to
She
sane
keeps
that
it
they
together,
have.
but
and
she
keep
is
it together.
not sane at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good show.
It's a great
Such a good show. I'm good right now.
You know, that's one. Okay, and this going with Seinfeld as well. I wanted to say this during the Seinfeld discussion, and this includes 30 Rock. I feel like they will both stand the test of time comedically, where that comedy will hold up. The jokes will still hold up. They're not all in that moment. They're really funny. They're still funny if you watch them right now. The jokes still play, which I think is a testament to both those shows where, you know, that's why they're rewatchable, because they're still going to be funny to this day.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think part of that is because, like in both of those shows, they're not trying to do anything like too trend-setty, pop culture-y, like reference-wise. They're just being funny, period.
Yep.
And that's why it does hold up, because there's no reference that's like lost on an audience anymore. It's just regular, straight comedy.
So Kick Rock should take notes, probably.
Yeah, let's try
You
not
wanna
to be
be
so
around
trendy.
one.
Try not to, you know, be too trendy.
Right? Well, anyway, that's...
Just set the trends. Don't be the, you know.
Set the trend, don't be the trend. Ooh, I like that.
We got a new mantra for Kicker Out.
That's a good spot to end it. And, well, actually, Tony, take us out.
Well, thank you once again for joining us with another Kick a Rock podcast, 2 Drink Minimum. This is Tony, Sergio, Joe, Bill. JT, we really missed you. That's KAR. Are you ready to get some?
All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 10 of 2 Drink Minimum. Thank you so much for listening, and we talked about a lot of TV shows, but certainly we missed a couple of those rewatchable ones that you might enjoy, so you can let us know that. Let us know your opinion by emailing us at podcast@kickarock.com. That's podcast@kickarock.com, or you can go on our Facebook page, leave a comment on there, message us there, or leave a comment directly on our iTunes feed for the podcast. Whatever you like to do. It's 2018. It's up to you. Completely up to you. Do what you feel. But thank you again so much for sitting with us and having a drink. This has been 2 Drink Minimum. We've been drinking, thinking, and talking shop. Cheers, everybody.